So in this video today, I'm going to work through a series of mobility exercises, and you could choose to do some of them or all of them. And you're going to need something to sit on, so a chair or a sofa, and a towel. Not a hand towel, because a hand towel is not going to be long enough. So something a little bit longer, so a bath towel or bath sheet or something like that. So something about this length, or maybe a little bit longer, but we'll come back to that later. So we're first going to look at your feet, ankle mobility, mobility through the whole foot actually. So you're going to take a seat and have one ankle on top of your knee. Okay, and we're just going to start with some simple ankle circles, and just try and get as much rotation through the ankle as you can, circling the ankle one way and then reversing. And circle the other way. Good. And now we're going to point and flex the foot. So elongate through the front of the foot, right to point, and then draw your foot back from the front of the ankle to flex. So stretching the foot long, and you could always use your hands to get a little bit more stretch through the front of the foot, because that's going to help you with some exercises later on. And then draw back through the front of the ankle to flex. Often we think we're flexing when we just pull the toes back, but the flex needs to come from the front of the ankle. So just do that. Keep going a few more times. And last one. Good. So now you're going to thread your fingers between your toes. Possibly not something you've done before, so might feel a little bit weird at first, but literally try to get one finger between each toe, okay? And try to thread them as close to the web of your toes as you can, okay? And then you're going to just kind of hug the ball of your foot with the palm of your hand. And you're going to use your hand to pull your toes back, and then pull your toes forward. And draw your toes back, so push them back, and then pull them forward. And just do that a couple more times. Good. And last one. And then you're going to just try and wrap your thumb and your index finger around your big toe and just pull it slightly out, like you're trying to elongate, lengthen that big toe. We just want to create a little bit of space through that big toe joint. So you're just trying to pull the big toe, making it longer, and then release. And maybe at the same time you can do that with the rest of your toes. Good. And then release. So now we're going to draw the toes back, and then you're going to flex the foot, and then you're going to pull the toes forward and point the foot. So pull the toes back and flex, pull the toes forward and point. And the point, remember, comes from the front of the ankle as well. So toes back, flex, toes forward, point. One more time, toes back, flex, toes forward, point. Then just come back to a straight foot. Again, try to find that pull of all of your toes, and then let your fingers go. And just notice how that foot feels, okay? Let's do the same thing on the other side. So for me, my foot feels like quite mobile already, and my toes feel open. You wouldn't think of saying that about your toes. Okay, anyway, so on the other foot, let's first circle the ankle. And just get those ankle bones, ankle joints moving as much as you can. Reverse. Obviously this bit you could do standing if you wanted to work on your balance at the same time. Okay, good. Then we're going to point the foot. So lengthen through the front of the foot, and then pull the foot back. So you're flexing at the ankle. Point and elongate, and flex. A couple more times. Point and flex. And again, you might find that one foot feels a little bit more mobile than the other. And one more time. Point, lengthen, and then pull the toes back. Good. So here we're going to find that threading of the fingers between each toe, and just take your time to just kind of wedge them in a little bit. Good. And here we're going to work on those toes. So we're going to draw the toes back by pressing your palm of your hand into the ball of your foot, and then pull the toes forward. And then press the toes back and pull the toes forward. A couple more times. And back. Good. And one more time. Good. Now wrap your thumb and your index finger around that big toe and try to create space. Try to lengthen that big toe like you're trying to elongate that joint. Maybe doing it at the same time with the rest of the toes. Good. So, same thing here. So we're going to press the toes back and then we're going to flex, pull the toes forward and point. Toes back, flex at the front of the ankle, toes forward, lengthen, and a couple more times. Toes, ankle, toes, point. One more time. Toes, ankle, toes, and point. And get ready to pull your fingers out, and hopefully the foot feels the same as the other one. Okay, so I'm going to move the chair out of the way now. We don't need it for the next bit. You're going to need your towel for some shoulder mobility exercises, okay? So I'm actually going to do that kneeling down because it just gives me a chance to do a little bit more work on my feet. But you could do this standing up. So I'm going to tuck my toes under, and I'll just turn to the side so you can see, and I'm going to sit on my heels. And what I'm going to get is a nice stretch through the arches of my feet and my toes, but it's also making me work the front of my ankles, okay? So if that's not comfortable, the other option is to sit with your feet flat on your heels, or like I said, you could stand up and do this. So you've got your towel. So I'm just going to come back to facing forward. Now, we're working on the shoulders next, okay? So we've done a little bit of footwork, but we're going to include some of the foot mobility work through the other exercises. And you might need to start by taking your arms quite wide. And you're going to slowly lift your arms up, keep them straight, and then take your arms all the way around. And then lifting the arms up and lowering. Good. Now, if that starts to feel easy with your arms quite wide, then you can bring your hands a little closer together. So I'm going to do that. The reason for using a towel and not a resistance band is that the towel doesn't stretch. There is no give. So you really have to work hard for that shoulder mobility. So if you are sitting with your toes tucked under, then maybe continue with your shoulder work by releasing your toes, which I'm going to do, and sitting flat on your heels now, so your feet are flat. So you're going to maybe try and do this about 10 to 15 times, and keep seeing if you could maybe bring your hands a little closer together. If you want to add in your breathing, inhale to lift the arms, exhale to bring them down, inhale to lift, exhale down. And I'm getting a deep stretch through my biceps and across my chest. Okay, so this is going to help us prepare for the next exercises. Okay, good. So maybe I did about 10. So I'm just going to put the towel down. Now you're going to lie on your front. Okay, with your arms out in a capital Y position, or you could think of a V, right? So your legs need to be connected. Nothing's going to happen with your legs. We're going to be working on the shoulders, okay? Let your forehead come down to the mat. And then turn your thumbs to face the ceiling. So you'll be resting on your baby fingers. Okay, so here comes your shoulder work. You're going to just hover the back of your head, right? Lifting the nose up maybe an inch off the mat. Then you're going to lift the arms. And you're going to keep pulsing them up. Let them drop an inch. And pulse them up. And drop an inch. And you need to do 8 of these. So I probably have about 5 more. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then lower, and have a mini rest. Then you're going to take your arms out into a capital T position. Arms go out wide. We're working still on the shoulder mobility, okay? And your legs are connected. Lift the back of your head up. Float the arms up. Now you're going to think about the space between the shoulder blades. Keep lifting the arms up and bring your shoulder blades together. Let the arms lower an inch. And lift them up higher. And lower an inch. And again, you're going to do 8. So I think I've got 6 more. Good. And 5. Keep staring at the floor or your mat. Just in front of you. And 3. And 2. Last one. It's quite hard work, so you don't need to do many. And then you're going to take a mini rest. And then bend your elbows so that now your arms are kind of like in a capital W position, okay? And again, let your forehead rest. And then lift the back of your head up. You're going to lift up your arms. Same idea here. You're going to rotate your shoulder blades down into your back and then lift the arms up. Not your chest, just the arms up. Feel how your shoulder blades, the middle of your shoulder blades, come closer together. Keep lifting the arms up. Keep your head down, otherwise you start to strain the neck. As in your nose is just an inch off the mat. Again, you'll do 8 here. I'm going to do 2 more. Last one. And lower, keeping your arms where they were. They're in the right position for the next exercise. So from here, you're going to keep your elbows down. Draw your shoulders away from your ears, down your back, and then lift your forearms and your hands. And lower. It's quite challenging, right? So lift your forearms and your hands. And lower. And again, you'll do 8. So I've got 6. And 5. And 4. And 3. 2. And 1. And we're done with the shoulder exercises for now. So you're just going to press yourself up, and you could always just come into a mini rest position very quickly before you move on. Okay, so now we're going to work on your hips, and we're going to start in a kneeling lunge. So there needs to be a 90-degree angle at your front foot, and the left knee just drops back directly under your hip. And you're going to try and rotate your pelvis. So your tailbone needs to move towards your pubic bone and your pubic bone towards your nose, so that you work in a neutral spine. And here you're going to feel that lovely opening through the back of your hip. And if you can keep that rotation, then you can just hinge forward slightly into that to take this stretch deeper. And then you're going to lift up your arm. The arm that lifts is the same side of the body as the leg that's behind you. And you're going to keep reaching up for the ceiling, and you might feel a stretch through the length of your abdominals, and then slightly over to the side, and you just need to breathe. Making sure that this front knee doesn't come over your toes. Keep working through that pelvic rotation. Tailbone to pubic bone comes forward towards your chest. And you're going to try and hold this for about 10 seconds. And while you're doing that, you just need to take some deep breaths in and out, and then slowly come out of that and switch sides. So your hips may feel a little bit wonky. Okay, so 90-degree angle. You might also find one side feels maybe tighter than the other. Rotate your pelvis, tailbone to pubic bone to chest, so it's in that direction. It's coming forward, so we neutralize the pelvis. We keep working through that pelvic rotation as we hinge slightly forwards, taking that stretch deeper. Notice that my spine hasn't changed. I'm still keeping my spine directly on top of my pelvis. So I'm not leaning back or I'm not leaning forward. Lift your arm up, and you're going to reach up and slightly over, and you'll find that you get a deeper stretch. Holding for about 10 seconds, and you just need to breathe. And you might find that once you've done this and really work through the opening of your hips, that your shoulder bridge, which comes next, maybe feels a little bit more effective with your hip extension, right? We're working in hip extension here. So let's slowly come out of that. And then you're going to lie down on your mat or on the carpet. You don't necessarily need a mat. And we're going to work in shoulder bridge, right? So we're working on hip mobility here. So make sure that your heels are underneath your knees and your knees are in line with your hips. Arms down by your side. Now, to add in the ankle work, you're going to lift your toes up so you're only on your heels, which means that you need to really be focusing on that flexion, that front of the ankle, flexing, bending back, toes back towards you. So you're just going to press your heels straight down into the floor and exhale, lift your hips up. Now we want those hips to look really open and flat to the ceiling, and what we just did hopefully helps, and you want to feel like you've really engaged the back of your hips and your hamstrings. And then you're just going to fold the hips and bring your tailbone straight back down. Exhale and press up, finding your hip extension, using the back of the arms a little bit to keep your collarbones wide, and then fold at the hips and bring your tailbone down. And you can do about 10 of these. And it starts to feel really strong at the front of the ankles, right? So the more you press your heels down, the more lift you're going to get and more activation through the back of the hips, the glutes, the hamstrings, and lower back down. So again, straight down, press up, make sure those ribs are soft, they're not popping out, and down. And I'm going to do 2 more with you. Up, and down, and one more time. Up, and down. Good, so now we're going to stretch the legs. You can flatten your feet. Bring your knees up towards your chest and straighten your legs. So after that bridging, we'll probably get a stretch into the back of the legs as well, but I'm still working on my hip mobility. So we're going to externally rotate at the hips. So that means your heels will come together and your toes apart. Now we're going to work on your feet as well. So you're going to point your feet. As you inhale, you're going to open your legs as wide as you can. And as you exhale, you're going to flex your feet and pull your legs back together. Bring your heels together. Inhale, point your feet and stretch your legs wide, getting that lovely opening in the hips. Flex your feet and pull your legs, inner thighs back together. So we don't need to do many of these. Point your feet strongly. Right, we've already worked on that. Flex your feet strongly to bring your legs back. And one more time. Inhale, point and open as wide as you can. Keeping your legs at 90 degrees. If your knees need to soften, of course, that's fine. Good. Now we're going to internally rotate at the hips. So your toes need to point inwards and your heels point outwards. And we're going to do the same thing, noticing that your range may feel a little different here. Inhale, open. Exhale, bring your toes back together. Keep trying to rotate your thigh bones inwards. Inhale, open. Exhale, back. And just a couple more times. Inhale. And exhale. Soften the knees if you need to. One more time. And back. And feet in parallel. Give yourself a little hug. So now we're going to put all of those mobility exercises together in one last exercise. So bring yourself up to a seated position and then make your way up onto all fours. So we're going to take this into a plank. So there needs to be a direct drop of your arms underneath your shoulders and your knees under your hips, with a lovely long neutral spine, straight spine. Keep the back of the head in line with the tailbone. Step back with one leg, tuck those toes under, and make sure that that leg feels really strong. Tighten up those quads. And then step back with the other leg without changing anything. Your feet are about hip distance apart. So here we're going to work through all those key joints that we've just been working on. Sorry, I'm going to shuffle myself forward a little bit. So you're going to deeply bend the knees, the hips, the ankles, opening the angle at the armpits. So you can see I've kind of come into a squat, but everything is still hovering, and I'm going to press back into a plank. Strong line, bending the front of the ankles, bending the knees, pressing back into the hips, opening the armpits, so the shoulders having to work as well, and press back out. Do as many as you can. If you can do 10 in a row, amazing. If you can do 5 in a row, amazing. If you can only do one good one, amazing, keep working at it. And I can really feel my ankles. Be aware of every joint. Flex the ankles, flex the knees, flex the hips, open the armpits, press back out, and then lower and lower. And those, you can hear I'm out of breath, those are your mobility exercises. So, like I said, do one of them, do some of them, do all of them as often as you can, and let me know if you can feel a difference.